The strategic assessment analysis. The 4 key questions every manager needs to answer. Hi, it's D.L. Rogers again, founder of the RMC Strategies website and Rogers Management Consultants. Our goal at RMC is to provide you with valuable information and insight into the workings of business enterprises that you will need to be successful. Generally speaking, the fundamentals of how a business works are the same regardless of size and industry and whether it is a profit or nonprofit organization. In this video, we're going to review the strategic assessment process. This video is an example of the information available on the RMC Strategies website for you to learn and enjoy. I want to review with you what I call the first fact of any organization, which is the success or failure is the responsibility of the people running the organization. If you have not done so already, I encourage you to go to the RMC website, and on the home page you can watch the video Understanding Why Businesses Fail and the 3 Steps to Long-Term Success. In that video, we review the most common reasons for business underperformance and failure, which is management decisions. I want to spend just 1 minute talking a little bit more about why businesses fail and the fact that it's management decisions. You see a number of other causes that I listed here, and there are many more that we could list. And the reason why those aren't the primary reasons is that all businesses in an economy have to struggle through challenges. It really comes down to how well you manage the impact of those challenges. I had a prospective client, I'm going to tell a quick story here, that I was talking to about coaching, and he said that he had read a lot up on management, effectiveness, and change, but his problem with everything he had read was that the advice required him to change, and he was not really interested in doing that. He wanted a solution that would bend the world, that's my word, to him. This may sound nuts, but many managers are saying this very thing. Maybe not as openly or honestly as this particular person did, or they may not be aware that that is the message that they're actually sending. It is how you anticipate and respond to challenges that will really determine your success. As a manager, how do you know when you're doing a good job? You know, if you're a manager, you can say, I have regular performance reviews, and that's how I know I'm doing a good job. Well, here's my question. Does a review actually assess your talent as a manager or the performance of your organization? So, looking at it this way, if your organization achieves its performance goals, does that make you a good manager? If your organization does not achieve its performance goals, does that mean you're not a good manager? And the answer to both questions is no. Performance reviews generally fall short of assessing management talent, and financial performance in the short term can have no correlation on management talent. Second question, as a business owner, how do you know whether or not you are performing well? You don't even have the benefit of what the manager has of a performance review. You need something that is objective that will tell you how you're doing, if you're being effective. And just like the manager in the larger company, the fact that you may have good financial performance is not an indicator that you're a good manager, and it certainly is not going to help you assess what you need to do in the future. Next question, what kind of a manager are you? Are you fair and balanced? Do you communicate well with your staff? Do you hold people accountable? Are you even a manager? Because frequently what we find is that people who own businesses are doers. They do things and they simply have a group of people around them that assist them in what it is that they're principally doing. So how effective is your organization? Are you delivering what your customers want and need? Does your organization work as a team toward that goal? Do your people care about whether or not the customer gets delivered good value, or are they more focused on whether or not they did their individual job regardless of whether or not the customer is satisfied? Now, I have to issue a warning as it relates to the strategic assessment analysis. It is a tool in the broader process of improving your performance. It is not going to solve, if you're currently an ineffective manager, this is not going to solve. It's simply going to expose those things you need to do. Okay, so in order to deal with the results that come out of a strategic assessment, I want to share a few critical concepts with you. The first step to improvement is you must be open to change, because I frequently find that the person in the greatest need of change is the most resistant. This really tends to revolve around the fear that their weaknesses are going to be exposed. I had a client ask me once, he was interviewing new people to come and work for him, what I felt about the idea of him hiring people that he thought were smarter and more knowledgeable than he was about his business. My answer is that anytime I put together a group of people on a project or to work for me, I want to be the dumbest person in the room. I want everybody to be more capable and smarter than me. I just have the benefit of being able to make to make the decision. So you want those good, smart people working for you. The person in the greatest need of change is frequently the most critical of others. I mean, I've met many owners and managers that can spend a lot of time telling me what everybody else did wrong in their company and their frustration, but they never really do a good assessment of their own performance. I have a lot of friends that are business owners, and I'm always struck at how effective they are at diagnosing what each other's business problems are, but they're very resistant to hearing about what the challenges are in their own business. It's hard to fill a cup that's already full. Came from the movie Avatar, where the indigenous people and the humans were talking, and they ultimately concluded that the humans weren't listening. They just said, hey, I can't, if you're not going to hear anything I have to say, why bother to talk? And that was the basic message. And I put that in different terms, which is, we have all talked to people until we were blue in the face and concluded it did no good. Well, here's the thing that you need to understand about this notion of being entrenched in a position, is that whatever you're entrenched in, it cannot be around your business. And that's because if you don't like change, you will like irrelevance even less. There is no substitute for embracing the one true reality: change. You cannot fight it. The only question is how well you'll manage through it. Okay, so on to the strategic assessment, analysis, and embracing change. A strategic assessment analysis is a multidimensional assessment of you and your operation, looking at 4 key questions from 4 different perspectives. The questions are, what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? What are your opportunities in your business? And what are the threats to your business? We're going to look at these from 4 different perspectives. Hindsight, meaning looking backward. Foresight, looking at the horizon. Insight, we want to look inside operationally, what's going on, how can it be improved, what are the challenges. And topsight, which means that we want to look at it from a holistic point of view, from an aerial or 30,000 foot view. That frequently means from the point of view of the customer, the supplier, or the competitor. Business owners and managers have difficult time getting a realistic assessment of their performance and a forward view. They're entrenched in the day-to-day of what's going on, and their employees will not frequently tell them the whole truth. One of my great frustrations as a manager is that when I would make a suggestion or statement to my staff, they would just say, okay. And I would say, hey, wait a minute. I need someone to disagree with me. Just don't assume I have the right answer. And we know customers won't tell you frequently what's going on. They'll just go and use someone else. Many managers tell me that they do not have time to do something like a strategic assessment analysis or to do planning. They say that that's really for bigger companies. It's not practical for them. All I say to them is those big companies that they're talking about, at one point or another, were the same size as your company, but those managers decided to take the necessary steps to progress to the next level. There are plenty of examples of companies that I'm going to mention a couple here in a minute, that have made strategic mistakes, but they're still around. The 3 I'll mention is Apple Computer. They started the personal computer industry. They're not the dominant player in that industry, but they're a very good, solid, high-performing company in a number of other niches. Xerox. There was a point in time in this country where when you made a photocopy, we called it a Xerox. They're not the dominant copy company today, but they're a good quality organization. Eastman Kodak is the last example I'll offer. Eastman Kodak, if you're young, you may have never even heard of Kodak, but they were the dominant manufacturer of film for cameras. But that entire industry has gone digital. So obviously they're no longer the dominant player there. The difference between these 3 companies who made strategic errors and your business is that they were large. And when you're large, you have the ability to avoid a mistake becoming fatal. And so in my view, you do not have the luxury of not doing strategic assessments and planning. Organizations rarely look out further than 12 months. Many do not look out beyond the end of the month or the next payroll in a real sense. Those organizations that do real planning often do it without being grounded in the current reality because they never benchmark themselves. In order for you to be an effective business into the future, you need to know where you stand today. That's the good and the not so good. This strategic assessment analysis will be, for many business owners, your first report card. Okay, so the process. You need a confidential person to do this, a third party. That's the way that you'll get the most candid feedback from everyone. The business owner or manager should complete the analysis first. This provides a baseline for conversations with everyone else. It allows him to more accurately identify who else should participate, and also to help to fashion questions. This is really beneficial if you can get people outside the company, customers, suppliers, and competitors to participate. Those employees that are involved, we're going to always ask them some employee satisfaction questions around pay, praise, and promotion. It's a snapshot. It's not going to be everything, but it will provide some insight into how employees are feeling about the way the company is being run. Those people who do participate, we're going to ask them questions from a number of points of view. First off, whoever they are, employee, supplier, competitor, talk about you and your business. Then ask to stand in your shoes. Hey, if you were running that company, if you were manager of that organization, what would you do differently? And then how would you compete against that company? If you're a customer, what would you say was good and bad about that company? You really ask them to think in all these ways, also think outside the box. And what's really important is that when they respond, you need to probe for good answers. You need to make sure you understand what they're really trying to say to you, and you really have to listen to get the most out of the process. Once you've gotten that, you compile the information, you give the verbatim comments, we provide a summarization of the findings, make recommendations with specific next steps in terms of what needs to happen. As I said, this is a report card, and it has been eye-opening for everyone I've ever done this for. The comments that you get back can cut to the core of your beliefs about your company. You have to challenge yourself to decide what it is that you want to achieve. Are you willing to make change for your company to excel? You've got to take this feedback to heart. You've got to share it with key people around you. You need to then develop plans to capitalize on what everyone has said, not just what's in the report, but what you've gotten from the feedback from your key people. Implement and execute on a plan, and you need to complete these sorts of processes on a regular basis. The top companies in the world use coaches and consultants extensively to assist in their business. A coach is that key advisor who can provide you with the unvarnished truth. And top performance is difficult without the truth. You need someone to help you to manage through those inevitable pitfalls that come in every business. It's really lonely at the top. And all I can do is suggest to you that at RMC, we can be one of those key advisors that helps you to achieve your goals. I hope that you found this to be a very insightful and useful video. I invite you to come to the rmcstrategies.com website, see the other information we have there, check out the coaching and consulting capabilities we have, and with that, I wish you the very best in your business. This is D.L. Rogers.